2024, epic year. I think most people will think 2024 and think the election, and we're going to get into a lot of that stuff now. Oh my gosh, way too much to cram into one podcast, but we're going to try. In the meantime, please subscribe so you never miss an episode, whether you're on YouTube or Rumble or Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Just hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. We love having you along for the ride. No charge to you at all. This is free entertainment. So please join us. We love to have this growing group that is, it's exciting to see. All right. So this is part 2, the rest of 2024, trying to nutshell it for you. Let's start with Julian Assange, the WikiLeaks dude. He cuts the deal. His guilty plea to conspiring to obtain and distribute classified information allowed the WikiLeaks founder to walk free. And really, to see his reunion with his family is a little bit stunning. Go ahead and roll the tape, John.
The plea deal that allowed Julian Assange to land here as a free man was organized by the Justice Department, not by the White House, and that's according to officials. But lawyers for Assange say they will be seeking a pardon from President Biden, Jeff. That's because they're calling his prosecution a criminalization of journalism. With his fist raised in victory, Assange walked across this tarmac and scooped up his wife, Stella, putting 14 years of legal battles behind him, 5 of those spent in a British high-security prison. What he needs now, his family says, is rest.
Yeah, I think I'd need rest after 14 years in behind bars. Fascinating story. We'll see how it continues on. Sports, again, a major part of our culture. And on June 24th, the Panthers won their first NHL Stanley Cup. These moments are cool. And whether you're a fan of the team or not, it's bragging rights for the fans. And it's just kind of a spectacle for those who aren't necessarily fans of that team. Roll the tape, John.
Which would be fitting. 3 seconds to go. The Florida Panthers have won the Stanley Cup.
No special place in my heart for the Florida Panthers. I just love that call, and you can hear the fans going crazy. That's just kind of the fun stuff of life. Those are the moments, and people in that crowd and fans of that team will never forget their first Stanley Cup. And we'll see if it's something that the Florida Panthers can replicate. What I don't think any of us want to see replicated is the kind of election that the United States of America went through this year. We started the beginning of the year with allegations that Joe Biden was maybe senile, maybe suffering from dementia, not on his game. Let's put it that way. And we saw that Kamala Harris and many in the White House came to his defense, telling us he was as sharp as ever. Well, let's go to the moment. The CNN presidential debate, 60 seconds worth of this will remind you what changed the 2024 election in a massive way. Roll the tape, John.
More Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either.
The only person on this stage is a convicted felon is the man I'm looking at right now.
But when he talks about a convicted felon, his son is a convicted felon.
What are you talking about? You have the morals of an alley cat. My son was not a loser, was not a sucker. You're the sucker. You're the loser.
He's blaming inflation, and he's right. It's been very bad. He caused the inflation.
Excuse me, with dealing with everything we have to do with, look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
Well, I took 2 tests, cognitive tests. I aced them. Go through the first 5 questions. He couldn't do it.
This guy's 3 years younger and a lot less competent. I think.
Do you remember watching? Do you remember where you were? I remember looking at my husband's face. He's not as into politics as I am. And even he looked at me like, I can't believe what I'm seeing. That was the beginning of the end for Joe Biden. For it was that debate performance, that abysmal performance, that marked the beginning of the end of his candidacy, where Nancy Pelosi, Barack Obama, and even George Clooney conspired to get him out of the ticket, to have Kamala Harris take over, and to try to beat Trump that way. They knew they could not win after that performance. Now, it makes you wonder about what happened not too long after that. Look, there are people who simply do not want Donald Trump to take the White House. Still, as we sit here in December of 2024. But nowhere was that in clearer, more stark relief than in Butler, Pennsylvania. And this moment, I think, became the most iconic image of the year, the most iconic story of the year, and something that simply, if the election had been held the following day, Trump would have won in a landslide. This was the assassination attempt on Donald J. Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania.
Oh, that's a little bit old, that chart. That chart's a couple of months old. And if you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened.
Moving spare. Hold. When you're ready. On you. Ready. Move. Up. Move. Go. Up. Hawkeye's here. Hawkeye's here. Move to the spare. Spare, get ready. Spare, get ready. We ready? Are we good? Shooters down. Are we good to move? Are we clear? We're clear. Let's move. We're clear. Come on.
Let me get my shoes.
I got you, sir.
Let me get my shoes, sir.
Hold that in your head. It's bloody.
So we gotta move to the bus. Let me get my shoes.
Okay, my shoes down.
Watch out.
Wait.
What a remarkable day. We're looking forward to having Selena Zito, a journalist who was on the scene there. She has released a book, or is releasing a book called Butler, and she'll be a guest of ours in the new year. I wanted to play that entire clip because there's so much there that needs remembering. The shots are the beginning of it. If you notice, and it's hard not to, there are some screams that are more pronounced than others. And it's hard to ignore those because Corey Camperatore, a volunteer fireman there in Butler, Pennsylvania, was killed that day. And you have to wonder, he was shielding his wife and daughter, and you have to wonder if it was them screaming, discovering that Corey had been shot dead. They're just brutally haunting screams. There are also the other moments, little tiny ones. Let me get my shoes. Let me get my shoes, the president says. Shoes are such a symbolic thing. You see shoes in so many places in the world. People who were asked to take off their shoes before being killed during the Holocaust, and shoes left over everywhere. We know at the 9/11 Memorial Museum in New York City, there are a number of pairs of shoes that are on display. When a soldier dies, they place his boots backward in a backward position on the horse as the horse rides through a parade or ceremony. Shoes are symbolic, and I just found that moment really fascinating. Let me get my shoes. Let me get my shoes. Shoot her down. We heard that line as well. Shoot her down, meaning the shooter, who I'm not going to name, was no longer a threat. And so they wanted to get him out of there, and the Secret Service rallied around him. And then Trump stopping and putting his fist in the air in that now iconic photo. I just remember that day so clearly, and I think most people do. And I think it changed a lot of hearts that day. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think I am, but it certainly changed the trajectory of the election. And this on the heels of that debate. I mean, it was a sequence of events that really I can't recall in modern politics. So that was Butler, Pennsylvania. And shortly thereafter, I mean, look, I don't know that we'll ever know who was behind that assassination attempt. Was it just a misunderstood kid who wanted to go make a name for himself? Are we ever going to find out? It's hard to know. You can say the same with all assassination attempts. I mean, there are influences and influencers around many of these people who try to kill presidents and other famous people. Will we ever know? It's hard to say. But what we do know is it was shortly thereafter that Biden finally did acquiesce to all those people. Acquiesce? I'm not sure that's the right word. He obeyed, and he stepped down from the candidacy. He stepped out of the election. Go ahead and roll tape, John.
President Biden has just announced that he is ending his re-election bid. Just moments ago, the president tweeted out, "It has been the greatest honor of my life to serve as your president. And while it has been my intention to seek re-election, I believe it is in the best interest of my party and the country for me to stand down and to focus solely on fulfilling my duties as president for the remainder of my term."
And so there it was. And Kamala Harris became the anointed one. And I think that disturbed a lot of people as well. She never had to, she never won a primary vote. She dropped out of the first primary that she ran in the 2020 campaign. And then this one, they just sort of handed her all the delegates. And there it was, the beginning of the end for the Democrats. Fascinating. The Secret Service director resigned about a week after that Butler shooting because Kimberly Cheadle clearly did not have command of the situation in Butler. Maduro had a disputed victory. Again, so many things happen, and we're only in July here. You know, I know things feel uncertain right now. They do to me, too. The markets are unpredictable, and we're even hearing these whispers about World War III. And like so many of you, I wanted to understand how to prepare my portfolio for turbulent times like these. And that led me to learn more about American Independence Gold. Gold and silver have historically stood the test of time through wars, recessions, market crashes. They're not just investments. They represent stability and peace of mind for families like mine. And right now, I'm holding a gold bar from American Independence Gold in my hands. It is real. It is heavy, and it could be yours when you open a gold IRA with $10,000 or more. American Independence Gold is a veteran-owned company that supports our military families and first responders. Plus, they cover custodial fees for life on qualifying accounts. So take your first step toward diversifying your portfolio today with American Independence Gold. Write this number down and text the word GOLD to 717767 for a free investment guide. That's GOLD to 717767. Discover how gold and silver could fit into your portfolio with American Independence Gold. Text GOLD to 717767. Do it now. And then came August 1st, when an historic prisoner swap with Russia took place. And again, I am grateful to the Wall Street Journal for putting together this framework of the year, and I've used it to guide this episode. But their reporter, Evan Gerskovich, and ex-Marine Paul Whelan, and a dozen others were released by Moscow. It was a massive deal. It involved 24 prisoners and at least 6 countries. It was the largest East-West prisoner swap since the Cold War. But again, watching a reunion between Evan Gerskovich and his family was stunning. The pressure was kept on to get that man out of Russia, and they did, and Paul Whelan as well. It was a great day, although there was a lot given back in return. These things are complicated. Also complicated, how you pick a vice presidential running mate. Trump picked J.D. Vance, which in hindsight now looked brilliant. What a brilliant debater he was. Not so brilliant was Kamala Harris picking Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. Now, Josh Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania, was reportedly also under consideration. Mark Kelly, the senator from Arizona, was also under consideration. How she came to pick Walz is a little bit beyond me. Maybe he was the least threatening. Maybe she didn't want someone to upstage her, and he certainly didn't. Although in some ways, Tim Walz did upstage her with his antics on stage. Take a look at her introduction of him. That fun. Didn't turn out too well. Walz was a terrible, terrible candidate. We told you that from that moment forward. And it panned out that way. He certainly didn't help her. Didn't even help her in Minnesota. And certainly didn't help her nationwide. Some people didn't need help when they went to Paris for the Olympic Games. Simone Biles and Katie Ledecky were among the most decorated Olympians. It was a phenomenal performance by each of them. The Olympics were marred by, some say, the opening ceremony, which was a little bawdy and a little distasteful for many. And then there were the boxers, the born male trans women boxers who won gold medals, 2 of them. It was insane, and it was on full display. Fortunately, there were also some good stories. As I mentioned, Simone Biles, Katie Ledecky. So after the Olympics, we had Kamala Harris accept the nomination at the Democratic convention. If you recall, we had a guest on this show who was at the Democratic convention and then later just left the Democrat Party because what she saw there behind the scenes was too much for her. And she was a fundraiser. She raised a lot of money for the Democrats. Go back in our history and look for that episode. Rate cuts came late August, and then August 23rd, RFK Jr. took his name off some of the ballots and decided to back President Trump.
The independent presidential candidate and possible election spoiler, now a supporter of former President Donald Trump. Both men together on stage for the first time.
Don't you want a president who's going to get us out of the wars and who's going to rebuild the middle class in this country?
The two bonding over shared assassination events. In July, Trump injured in an attempted assassination. RFK Jr.'s uncle, Democratic President John F. Kennedy, and his father, Attorney General Robert F. Kennedy, both assassinated. On Friday, Trump making a promise.
Upon my election, I will establish a new independent presidential commission on assassination attempts. And they will be tasked with releasing all of the remaining documents pertaining to the assassination of President John F. Kennedy.
When RFK Jr. announced his candidacy as an independent, members of his own family campaigned against him. Instead, they supported the ticket of the Democrats, the party of his family.
Is to re-elect Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
RFK Jr. is a controversial candidate as a vaccine denier and a conspiracy theorist on COVID-19 and 9/11.
It's interesting how quickly people turned on RFK Jr. after he supported Trump, but that happened to so many people after they supported Donald Trump. But that was a another big pivot, another big moment in the 2024 campaign. August 31st, a grim, grim day. Hamas killed 6 hostages. Execution style, they included an American. John, roll the tape.
Families of the killed hostages are speaking out this morning after hearing the news of their loved ones.
The family of Hirsch Goldberg Poland said in a statement, with broken hearts, the Goldberg Poland family is devastated to announce the death of their beloved son and brother Hirsch. The family thanks you all for your love and support and asks for privacy at this time.
Tragic, awful, awful day. Again, the United States relationship with Israel remained strong, but the Biden administration seemed to handcuff Benjamin Netanyahu and their response to the Palestinians and really to Hamas and Hezbollah and the Houthis. That is going to change dramatically if we are to believe Donald Trump. Trump then on September 10th had his single, one and only debate with Kamala Harris. And some people saw this as a big moment for the Democrat nominee, Harris. There were some moments, but we soon learned that she was basically programmed for this debate. I'm from a middle-class family. We like our lawns. And we saw those lines uttered again and again. But here is that debate encapsulated down to 60 seconds.
They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
He talks about fictional characters like Hannibal Lecter.
Abdul is the head of the Taliban. And I told Abdul, don't do it anymore.
I have talked with military leaders, and they say you're a disgrace.
She copied Biden's plan, like run, spot, run. I have concepts of a plan.
I will not ban fracking.
This weak, pathetic man that you saw at a debate.
Clearly, I am not Joe Biden.
Wait a minute, I'm talking now. Does that sound familiar? Crime here is up and through the roof.
This is so rich, coming from someone who has been prosecuted.
She's a Marxist.
People start leaving his rallies early out of exhaustion and boredom.
I have been a leader on IVF, which is fertilization.
Donald Trump certainly should not be telling a woman what to do with her body.
There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born.
We need a ceasefire deal.
Because she was at a sorority party. I probably took a bullet to the head because of things that they say about me.
A dictator who would eat you for lunch.
Wow. There's a lot of stuff about eating there. Haitians eating animals and dictators eating you for lunch. It was spicy. It was not a great performance for Trump. Clearly, Kamala Harris won that debate. Ultimately, we all know it didn't matter. September 17th saw one of the most amazing coordinated attacks against Hezbollah, against maybe any terrorist group, maybe ever. Pagers carried by thousands of Hezbollah operatives, writes the Wall Street Journal, explode at the same time in an audacious Israeli operation that authorities say injured thousands and killed several people across Lebanon, while exposing undercover Hezbollah members, because only those Hezbollah members had these pagers. And then in a second wave, a day later, walkie-talkies used by Hezbollah blew up. So September 17th, here's some footage that we have. This was, in a word, amazing.
We're seeing a variety of videos in which people in Lebanon are going about their daily lives in markets, buying goods in grocery stores, and suddenly explosions go off next to them. What this appears to be is hundreds of incidents where individuals, it's believed affiliated with Hezbollah, have pagers that have exploded almost simultaneously, all within a very brief period of time, causing hundreds, perhaps even thousands of injuries.
I mean, if they weren't terrorists, it'd be tough to watch, but they're terrorists. And that coordinated attack was like something out of a movie. It was amazing. And it showed that Israel was at the top of its game. It's just remarkable. Also remarkable, Hurricane Helene, which devastated 6 states in the southeast of the country. It left people without power. We're talking millions of people. There were floods. Homes were destroyed. Crops were destroyed. Rainfall triggered mudslides. At least 230 people were confirmed dead by mid-December. This was like nothing we had seen in a long, long time in the United States of America. And the people who bore the brunt of this were a lot of people living even up in the hills of North Carolina, people without flood insurance because they lived on hills. You wouldn't think you need flood insurance if you're living on a hill. Well, it's no wonder that so many people have trouble sleeping. It's a turbulent world out there, and you've got responsibilities. It's the holidays. Listen, I have had trouble too, but let me tell you what I've found that is really helping me sleep better. This is no joke. It's not a drug. It's not a prescription. It's a cream. I just apply it at bedtime. Boom, simple. And listen, I was a total skeptic, but I tried it once and I was amazed that it really works. I sleep so much better. The company is Sleep Cream. They use all natural CBD combined with the finest essential oils. I just put it on before turning in for the evening, maybe on the bottoms of my feet, the insides of my wrists and forearms, insides of my elbows. That works best for me. And within minutes, it helps me relax and it allows my body to do what it's supposed to do, which is sleep. You can find them at sleepcream.com. Just try it for a couple nights. See if it works for you as well as it does for me. And if you don't get better sleep, Sleep Cream will refund your purchase, guaranteed. You don't have to return anything. Go to sleepcream.com. That's sleepcream.com with cream spelled CREME.com. And for the next few weeks, use the code GAMEDAY at checkout and you'll get free standard shipping off your first order. That's GAMEDAY, all one word at checkout to get that free standard shipping. If you're ready for your best sleep ever, and who's not, sleep, CREME.com. Use that word game day. Well, I mentioned earlier that each of these presidential candidates picked their vice presidential running mates. And on October 1st, there was a debate. And if people didn't know before just how smart and sharp, and there are a lot of words to describe J.D. Vance, they just oozed from him that night. Meanwhile, Tim Walz looked frankly like a deer in the headlights. Here's just some snippets.
What Tim Walz is doing, and I honestly, Tim, I think you got a tough job here because you've got to play whack-a-mole. You've got to pretend that Donald Trump didn't deliver rising take-home pay, which of course he did. You've got to pretend that Donald Trump didn't deliver lower inflation, which of course he did. And then you simultaneously got to defend Kamala Harris's atrocious economic record, which has made gas, groceries, and housing unaffordable for American citizens.
I would love to show the whole thing to you. It was a masterpiece by J.D. Vance, an absolute masterpiece. And for people who say Tim Walz rallied in the second half and did okay is about as well as he did. October 10th, we saw Hurricane Milton. That was the one that battered Florida. So that made matters, again, very, very tough in the southeastern part of the country. And then on October 13th, just got to show you this. SpaceX catches a booster. All right, look, my dad worked in the space program for most of his life. He was an aeronautical engineer. He went to see rocket launches. He went to see missile tests. He did not live to see this. I hope he saw it from wherever he is. This was incredible. I mean, this is astonishing. And this is Elon Musk. And this guy seems to find ingenious ways to do so many things. It's just incredible. The watching this come back down to earth and having those two big metal arms reach around it and bring it back. It's amazing. It makes you excited about what could come next. If Elon Musk and company can do that, I don't know what's next, but I'm excited to find out. October 17th, another astonishing piece of video from a drone just before Hamas chief Sinwar was killed. Just take a look at this video and take a look. You can see Sinwar sitting there and he tries to bat away the drone. Doesn't work. And moments later, he is killed. Again, Sinwar was a U.S. designated terrorist and architect choreographer of the October 7th, 2023 attack on Israel. And this was a major blow to Hamas. And his death achieved one of Israel's top objectives for the war. Again, I'm citing the Wall Street Journal there. This was quite a moment for Israel and for the world, really. And then we return to sports. October, the World Series. And on October 31st, on Halloween, the Dodgers won it. Watch this moment.
Start the party, Los Angeles! Your Dodgers have won the World Series!
It's the 8th title for the Dodgers, and they beat the Yankees. We were hoping it would have been a better series than it was, but a great call at the end of that one. Start the party, Los Angeles. It was just a great moment. There were great pitching performances. There were some big hitting performances. It was a lot of fun, and I'm not a Dodgers fan, but I became one during that series, at least for this year. It was really fun to watch. Great performances there. You know, I know things feel uncertain right now. They do to me, too. The markets are unpredictable. And we're even hearing these whispers about World War III. And like so many of you, I wanted to understand how to prepare my portfolio for turbulent times like these. And that led me to learn more about American Independence Gold. Gold and silver have historically stood the test of time through wars, recessions, market crashes. They're not just investments. They represent stability and peace of mind for families like mine. And right now, I'm holding a gold bar from American Independence Gold in my hands. It is real. It is heavy, and it could be yours when you open a gold IRA with $10,000 or more. American Independence Gold is a veteran-owned company that supports our military families and first responders. Plus, they cover custodial fees for life on qualifying accounts. So take your first step toward diversifying your portfolio today with American Independence Gold. Write this number down and text the word GOLD to 717767 for a free investment guide. That's GOLD to 717767. Discover how gold and silver could fit into your portfolio with American Independence Gold. Text GOLD to 717767. Do it now.
Start the party, Los Angeles! Your Dodgers have won the World Series!
Well, that was the end of October. And then we know what happened in early November, November 5th. And we thought maybe it would take days, even weeks, to determine who won the presidential election. Shockingly, it didn't. Shockingly, the result was in rather quickly. We knew it by November 6th, very, very early in the morning. And Trump declared victory.
I want to thank the American people for the extraordinary honor of being elected your 47th president and your 45th president. And to every citizen, I will fight for you, for your family, and your future. Every single day, I will be fighting for you, and with every breath in my body, I will not rest until we have delivered the strong, safe, and prosperous America that our children deserve and that you deserve. This will truly be the golden age of America. That's what we have to have.
We have yet to see, but there is a lot of excitement about what this next administration can bring. And so we'll talk to you about this about a year from now when we look back at 2025. But in the meantime, toward the end of November, a stunning moment in Syria. A surprise rebel offensive recaptured the city of Aleppo, and it did it rather quickly. In just a few days, it knocked out the Syrian leader Assad. Here's the tape.
After rebel forces seemed to come out of nowhere, taking just days to overwhelm and oust the brutally repressive government that has been in power for several decades. Across the Middle East, Syrians rejoiced as some hope to soon return to their home country, as Russia's foreign ministry confirmed that Bashar al-Assad had, quote, decided to leave the presidential post.
But again, we have yet to see what happens now. It's always, what happens next? Who replaces this leader? What happens? So that's one to watch. And certainly the United States will have some sort of role, even if that role is we're going to stay back and let things happen until things go sideways. It's going to be one to watch. A really interesting development in early December as the Bible saw a 22% increase in sales. The Bible. Thought I'd throw that one in there. I found that interesting and maybe a good sign. I don't know. After all, after being lied to so much in 2024 by the Biden administration, by the media, who told us he was sharp as a tack, that he ran circles around his staff in the White House. All these people who we were supposed to trust, the vice president, the media, the press secretary. And how many times did the press secretary and the president say that Joe Biden would not pardon his son, Hunter? Won't pardon him. Multiple times. Will not pardon him. Pardon's off the table. I am not going to pardon him. I'm not. Will not pardon him. Period. The end. The president's been very clear he will not pardon him until he pardoned him. And then KJP, Karine Jean-Pierre, what a tap dance she had to do.
I know what I said. I know what the president said. That is where we were at the time. That is where the president was at the time. I am his spokesperson. This weekend, he thought about it. He wrestled with it. He wrestled with it and made this decision. That's what I can tell the American people.
I mean, it was tough to take, right? There's not a whole lot more to be said about that, except that why did you so definitively tell us? No, he will not pardon him. I think people would have been more understanding had you just said, well, you know what? We're going to wait and see. I think they thought it would affect the election. Follow the votes, follow the money, follow the politics. Early December saw a really disturbing story in New York City. The United Healthcare CEO walked out of a hotel early in the morning and was shot and killed. The video is startling. It's nearly point blank range. And this Luigi Mangione just stepped out of the darkness and shot him.
New surveillance video shows the moments the violence unfolded. Police now reviewing the footage as the search for the suspect intensifies.
I want to be clear. At this time, every indication is that this was a premeditated, pre-planned, targeted attack.
It was amazing. And then the search went on for about 5 days, during which Taylor Swift ended her Eras tour, which made billions and billions of dollars. And then we saw Luigi Mangione get discovered in a McDonald's in Pennsylvania. And when he was taken into a courtroom, he had an outburst. Try to hear what he said.
Oh my God! And completely out of touch and insult the intelligence of the American people and the lived experience.
Again, it's been interesting. My family has been talking about this, and did he act alone? Did he act alone? Is he just some crazy kid who wanted to make a statement who acted alone? Because again, you have to wonder, how did he know which hotel? How did he know the specific time that early in the morning that man, Brian Thompson, would walk out of that hotel? Now he, unlike the first Trump assassination suspect or who was killed, this guy was taken alive. So it'll be interesting to see the answers that might be gleaned from this man about what in the hell his motivation was, and did he have any help? Meanwhile, drones in the sky over New Jersey. New Jersey, that bastion of mystery, that place of curiosity, New Jersey, and I guess a little bit of New York. These mysterious drones took to the sky. And the most frustrating part was, and remains. No one seems to know anything about them. But they keep telling us they're not a threat. So how do you know? If you don't know where they're coming from, if you don't know who's flying them, how do you know they're not a threat? How do you know? And how do you not know where they're coming from? I mean, this is insanity. So the FAA has had to temporarily ban drones in parts of New Jersey. Roll the tape.
Tonight, federal authorities making an unprecedented move, shutting down parts of New Jersey airspace and threatening to shoot down unauthorized drones due to special security concerns. The FAA warning that flying a drone without government permission in 22 areas is illegal.
All right. Let's hope we get an answer to that question. It seems like a pretty simple one. In the meantime, we have seen Trump nominations going through Senate offices looking to garner support from senators who will be confirming or not confirming them. And right now, everyone looks to be pretty safe. Pete Hegseth had some bumps in the road there, but it appears he's making a lot of headway toward being confirmed as the Secretary of Defense. Commutations, in addition to nominations, as Biden commutes the sentences and pardons a number of people that seem almost unforgivable. Just ridiculous. The 37 people on death row that are just monsters. It's hard for me to understand this. I think most people think he's not doing this. His staff is doing this, and he's signing off on it. And a lot of things have happened here in the last week as we head into the New Year's. There was a Christmas market attack in Germany. There was another one in London. And Ricky Henderson, the king of steals in baseball, passed away. So much happened in 2024 that it is impossible to put it all, even in 2 podcasts as we have done. But we've enjoyed bringing you this retrospective. And we're really hopeful here at the Michele Tafoya podcast, our little operation, that 2025 is exciting, is happy, is prosperous, is liberating, and it brings a tide that lifts all boats. That's what we're hoping for. Seeing some regulations just cut and slashed. Seeing what happens with Doge, with Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk. Seeing these Senate confirmations and how all of these really interesting people, just an eclectic group, many of them very young, impact the state of our federal government. It's going to be a fascinating ride. We're going to be with you every step of the way in 2025. So let me wish you a happy new year. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe, and we will see you next time. In the meantime, be brave and do good all the way through the new year and beyond.